Welcome to Glassbreakers Café, the podcast where we meet with impactful leaders to get their wisdom and insight on the future leadership and career development. Our goal is to inspire you and empower you to live an unlimited and smart future by breaking free from limiting beliefs, firefighting, and the invisible walls of our society. I'm your host, Cindy Montgenie, future work expert, diversity accelerator, executive coach, and international speaker. Welcome to Glassbreakers Café, a space where we meet with impactful leaders to get their wisdom and insight on the future leadership and career development. Our special guest today is Amaka Amalu, the VP and Managing Director at WSP, an engineering firm. Welcome, Amaka, and thanks for spending the time with us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Cindy, for having me today. I'm excited to be here.
You're welcome. And let's start with the obvious. You are one of the few women and super few Black women who is an engineer. Tell us more about what you do, because the engineering field is vast. And how did you end up being an engineer?
Okay. Well, I am a mechanical engineer. Senior mechanical engineer. I actually designed the machinery for operating drawbridges or movable bridges. So bridges that open up for the boats to pass by. My company, we design, rehabilitate, and inspect them. So I am in charge of the machinery aspect of it, of what makes these bridges move. So, and I've been in this industry for over 13 years now. And I stumbled upon engineering in my senior year of high school because I wanted to be a teacher, a child psychologist for kids in low-income areas. And I got into this physics class in high school. My teacher, we didn't open our books. He just had us do these fun hands-on STEM workshops. And I built a car out of paper and I raced it in the gym of our high school. And I was just like, whoa, what is this, fun? Like, what is this fun things that we're doing? So we did only hands-on projects in that physics class. And that's what kind of introduced me to engineering. And after I enjoyed that class so much, I decided to go into that field instead. So, and no regrets, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, and this is amazing, huh? The power of one person in our life.
Yes.
And especially teachers, because I do think like we are not like giving them all the values they deserve, because they have like a big impact in our life, in our future. Yes. Amazing, like from child psychologist to managing bridges. Awesome, fantastic. And so it was great because not only you were successful when you were working on your degree, you have a career, you were mentioning, of 13 years, and a successful career because now you are managing director. Not everybody wants to be a managing director, but many people want to achieve this role and are not able to get it. When you look at your career, what will you say were like those defining moments or those key elements that positioned you to be today a managing director?
The opportunity came my way, which was, great, of course. But there were other factors that made this opportunity possible, right? And of course, multiple years of hard work. I want to start off that I am an introvert. I'm a proud introvert. I like to say I'm an introverted leader. But in the beginning of my career, I would just sit in the corner quiet and just do my calculations and like just try to do the best work I could and hope somebody would notice me. Like, oh, okay, there's Amaka working in the corner, doing a great job. And I realized that a lot of the big promotions would pass me by to extroverts and other individuals who were networking with the higher uppers in the company. So, one day I decided after other certain events happened, I decided that I wanted to change this. I wanted to see a change in my career track, right? So I decided, I learned from what I saw other people doing, of course. And I decided, I wanted to move up the ladder. So I said, you know what, Amaka, you have to start using your voice. You have to start speaking up in rooms. You have to start networking. These are things that as an introvert, it makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable, but I started to learn that you have to step out of your comfort zone, right, in order to see big shifts in your life, right? So I started to take a public speaking class, and that was my first step. And that just helped me tremendously to get comfortable just using my voice and speaking up for myself and speaking up in a room full of men. And then I started to force myself to go to networking events and to company events, making sure that, I would network, but I would tell myself, okay, network like an introvert, not an extrovert. So instead of trying to meet everybody in the room and stressing myself out of it, I would make a small goal. Like, okay, why don't you just try to connect with 2 or 3 people in the room instead? Find 1 or 2 people that you connect with, and then build a mentoring or networking or sponsorship relationship out of that, right? So that's something I also saw was very important, making sure that you find a mentor or a sponsor in these spaces, because it's very hard to make it up that ladder on your own, right? So making sure that I found a sponsor or a mentor who I would tell them, this is my goal. I want to be a leader. I want to take on this role in the company. I want to take on this. I want to do this presentation for this workshop, or anything I wanted to do. I made sure I voiced it. I communicated it to my sponsors and my mentors. And you'll be surprised how many people are willing to help you and just to help you move up and to help you achieve your goals, especially when you show them that you want to put in the effort and the hard work to get it done. So I think, that's, in a nutshell, that's kind of how I ended up with a lot of great opportunities ever since I took that step to say, hey, I want to make a change. I want to move up the ladder, which was about maybe 5 years ago. So, and ever since then, just stepping out of my comfort zone and taking these little steps has brought all these great opportunities into my life. And this, new job is one of them. And I'm hoping, to see great, taking this big risk, I'm hoping to see a great benefit coming out of it in the future. So.
Yeah, surely you will see it. And what you were saying were like music to my ears as a coach,
Mm-hmm.
because I have a program with speak up and move up. Mm-hmm. And this is so important, because a lot of people, men and women, but more women than men, feel like because you are doing a good job, people will notice it and they will give you the opportunity. And it's not like this. You need to speak up, because some people don't want to grow, don't want to go after promotion. So people around you cannot read your mind, but as you were mentioning, people are willing to help. So I think this is one of the great nuggets to take out of your story, to speak up. The second one also that is super important is about the fact that you are not an extrovert, you are an introvert, because people sometimes they disqualify themselves because of their nature. And we can all work on improving our style and find a way to network as an introvert. And I can totally relate with you, because I'm also an introvert and not extrovert. And the third element that was also great in your story is about working on your skill, bridging the gap between where you are and when you want to go, and for example, the public speaking class. So I think it's a great example for the audience to take. If you identify that you have a gap in your skill set, go and work on it, look for mentors, speak up, and find a way to move things around you according to your style. I love it, Amaka. But what is also interesting with your story is you became a managing director throughout the pandemic. It was at the end of 2020. It was not an internal promotion. It was with a new company. And last year for everybody, and I believe it was the same for you, we were all with a lot of emotion. 2020 was a kind of hectic year, and taking on this new challenge, new company. Tell us about this journey throughout the pandemic and taking the risk, because every career move is a risk.
Yes. It was a very big risk. It was leaving somewhere that I was very comfortable with and, had a great experience at and got plenty of experience from, and jumping into unknown waters it was scary. But again, a lot of the girls that I mentor, I always tell them about this, take a risk, take a risk. And I said, you know what, let me see where this opportunity goes. So, and see what what I'm capable of doing and bringing to this company. So it was very scary. I definitely, I'm big on mindful meditation. So I try to make sure that I was meditating, so I wasn't making the decision based out of fear or anything like that. And just, I don't know, I just always believe that everything will work out the way it's supposed to. So if this opportunity came to me and it was brought to me by God, the universe, whatever anyone believes in, let me see where it's gonna go. So that's the way I looked at it. And I didn't want my girls to tell me, you don't practice what you preach. So, we'll see where it goes. But it was definitely very scary. I took off a month to kind of transition over, but I'm very excited and just looking forward to, the possibilities of the future with this position. So, yeah.
Awesome. And I love the walking the talk. And we're going to go with your girls. But before talking about what you do with girls, also at this moment, and it was one of the big lessons of 2020, is disruptions, transformation. Many industries are being transformed, disrupted under our eyes. When you look at future trends, what will you say will be the trends that will transform or impact your industry? And what are you doing to stay relevant in the marketplace?
So what I did notice with the pandemic was the fact that, a lot of companies told their employees to work from home, right? And that's something that, especially in the US is not common, right? It's very rare for companies to say, oh yeah, you could work from home. People think that, their employees are not going to be as productive. But due to COVID, we were kind of forced into that situation. And it was funny how it worked for a lot of companies, kind of worked out for a lot of companies, right? They saw that your employees, some might have even been more productive. I found myself at my laptop or desk, even at maybe an hour or two longer. The hour I would be driving to work, I was at my desk. So I felt like I was more productive at home. But I love the fact that, I had this flexibility with my schedule a little bit, right? So I think this hybrid situation of, giving your employees flexibility of schedule to come in to work maybe a few days and then to also work from home, I think that will actually make our workforce even better, because I think it allows for a more inclusive workforce, especially for women or fathers who take care of their kids. Part-time workers, people who are handicapped, because of that flexibility that they get. So I feel like, especially for engineering companies and STEM companies, that's something that is not widespread, this flexibility in the work schedule. And as you know, you don't see a lot of women in these fields anyway. So I think if these companies start to adapt that type of flexibility, I think you're going to start attracting even more diverse and inclusive workforce and workers. So I think that would be great going forward. So
awesome. We hope so. And especially, as you were mentioning, for parents, single parents, could be men and women. This is even working parents, but the flexibility with to handle your family and your work is important. So hopefully we will see this change of a more inclusive workforce. And we started the interview. We started by highlighting the fact that you are one of the few women of color in this field of being a mechanical engineer. And I know you are passionate about changing the landscape and providing more opportunities for more women. And you are starting with girls, because you mentioned your girls. So tell us about what you are doing with your girls, because I didn't announce it when I introduced you, but you're also the founder of a nonprofit. So give us the vision behind what you're doing with girls.
So I started Tech Girl Power, the nonprofit. It's a STEM nonprofit for young girls from lower income neighborhoods. And so I started this nonprofit maybe 4 years ago when I saw that I was typically the only woman of color, Black woman, only woman in the room in a lot of the spaces I went to in my work. And I also was missing this mentoring aspect of working with young kids that I always, because I wanted to be a teacher or a child psychologist initially. So I was missing that. So those two like needs kind of came together with Tech Girl Power. As you know, Miami has one of the highest rates of income inequality in the United States. And those communities tend to be communities of color. So we tend to do, our workshops are typically focused more on girls from those communities. So, and they most likely happen to be girls, Black girls or Hispanic girls. So we focus on doing hands-on STEM workshops with the young girls. So the type of workshops that got me interested, and a lot of the female engineers who also volunteer with us, a lot of the workshops that got them interested, right, we do with these young girls. So it's great. These girls get to see, Black or Hispanic, Indian, female engineers come to lead the workshops, do hands-on workshops with them. And, so they have role models that they feel that they can emulate. We also make sure that we're mentoring the girls. We're trying to increase their self-esteem, trying to increase their self-efficacy skills, because those girls are going through a lot more obstacles than your average girl. So, in order to come into this field and to overcome a lot of obstacles, they need that self-efficacy skills to reach the want to reach certain goals. And we also try to teach them how to, skills to survive in the male-dominated field also from our experience. So it's been great. The girls, are great. We always typically get 90% of the girls give us 100% or more. Actually, sorry, 90% or more of the girls always give us an A+ for our workshops. And yeah, it's been great. It's, at least 50% of the girls are always like, oh, we want to be engineers at the end of it. But yeah, we just see it as, we're using STEM as a way to help break the cycle of poverty in those neighborhoods because of the high annual salaries from those roles. So we're just, we're using STEM and young girls to kind of help to change those communities. So, yeah.
And were you impacted with the pandemic? Because the beauty of what you do, and this is like the spark for you going to engineering, is like this hands-on activity. So when the pandemic happened, were you impacted, or how did you do some changes?
It was tough. We decided to go online, and we would provide the kits to the girls. The 1 week we did an online workshop with girls from middle class areas. It went so smooth. Anybody who had technical difficulties had their parents come up and help them solve the issue. When we switched to the girls from lower income areas, the sister nonprofit that we work with actually had to have one of their guys go to the homes of each girl to fix all the issues that they were having technically. And still, as we were doing it, there were issues. A computer crashed. A computer wasn't updated enough. It was like a very old computer. Another one, there was no parent in the home, so there was nobody to kind of force them, like, hey, sit down and do this. So we had to cancel that workshop. And then that organization had to bring the girls in and use their laptops and have people watch them in order to do the workshops with them. So working with girls from lower income, from disadvantaged areas requires more time, requires more money, requires more effort. But we're willing to do it because it needs to be done. But yeah, it requires more time and effort and money. So. Yeah.
And I like to hear like you are getting this effect of opening the eyes, and some are seeing themselves becoming an engineer, because this is the whole point of showing this is possible, you can doing, and having like a new perspective on life. So congratulations, Amaka, for this great work in the community.
Thank you.
We are coming to an end of the interview, our time together today. And to close, I always like to close on a lighter note. And I would love to ask you if you could have a superpower that you don't have to do today, because you are already a superwoman, but an additional superpower, what superpower will you pick?
So I think I would want to have the superpower to teleport myself instantly somewhere, because I love to travel. but I hate the fact that I have to get on a plane and like, the hassle of traveling. So to be a fun superpower would be like just instant teleportation to Italy, Germany, wherever, Africa, different countries, whatever I feel like it, for relaxation time.
This will be awesome. I am with you on this point, because I know at this moment, like, many industries are thinking about like flying cars, and I think like this will help at some point. But like for traveling, nothing else like teleportation. So I'm with you. So thank you very much, Amaka, for sharing those great nuggets about career acceleration, building your dream career, achieving your goals, and also giving back to the community, because at this moment there is a lot of work to do, so we could really have diversity, and especially in the STEM field. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me. I had fun.
And thanks to our audience. See you next week with another encounter of Glassbreakers Café. If you enjoyed today's episode of Glassbreakers Café, please subscribe and share with your friends on social media. Also, be sure to follow me, your host, Cindy Montgenie, on LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. If there is any special guest or special topic you would like us to address, please drop me a note at cindy@newskiesnation.com. Thanks a lot for joining us today. And remember, no one can predict the future, but we still need to prepare for it. See you next week. If you enjoyed today's episode of